Hello dear viewers, you're watching RTD's English News Edition. Here are our major stories. President Gele received the leaders of major Chinese companies in China. International news forced Putin-Kim summit to revive historical links. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. On the sidelines of the second summit of the initiative entitled Silk Road, President Ismail Gele held a series of meetings with leaders of major companies operating in our country. Thus, the head of state met with the CEO of PolyGCL Petroleum Group Holdings, Mr. Zhu, to discuss the progress of the gas project, the pipeline between Djibouti and Ethiopia. A project that, according to the meetings, will have to be completed within 5 years. Significant financial benefits are expected from this pipeline, and first, both countries hope that when it is built and in service, it will allow them to increase trade volumes. Secondly, Ethiopia, which is a landlocked country, is a real boom. Through this immense project, the Republic of Djibouti is increasingly confirming its position as a hub, especially since the materials that will also transit through this channel will be exported. Also, in the series of talks, President Gele received the CEOs of CCECC companies, the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, and CRCC, the China Railway Construction Corporation. The CRCC, being a subsidiary of CCECC, already works in the railway field with a new railway. The meeting between the President of the Republic and the CEOs of these two companies focused mainly on achievements, and in particular the construction of Djibouti-Ethiopian Railway, which after 1 year in service is producing very satisfactory results. The President and the Chinese corporate leaders welcomed the results. Another highlight of this meeting was the Lebanon-based training center inaugurated last month by the head of state. It is the first of its kind on the continent and aims to provide vocational training.
Things, and I think most important one is we reported to His Excellency about Addis Ababa Djibouti Railway. The railway operation well. The quantity of the cargo transported by railway increase, month by month. I think that this railway will bring good benefit to Djibouti and also Ethiopia economical development. Second thing, we are discussing about my company's investment. We are going to invest in Djibouti to build 2 tower buildings, in the city of Djibouti. So this is second things we are discussing. The third one is about Luban workshop. Luban workshop, and this workshop is inaugurated, open by the end of March. I think this workshop will give very good education to the students in Djibouti industry and the commercial school.
Intensifying the fight against subsidiary housing, it is with this in mind that the head of state had a one-on-one meeting with the Zhang Yang, CEO of the construction company with the same name, in Beijing on Tuesday. Mr. Yang plans to build 5,000 housing units in Djibouti to help the government in its policy of access to housing for all. Thus, during this meeting, he presented to President Gele the construction plan for these 5,000 housing units. Mr. Yang had already come to Djibouti to discuss this major project which aims to build housing of all types. The meeting with the President of the Republic and the presentation of his plan is the culmination of the steps that will soon lead to the implementation of this project. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received the CEO of China Communication Company and Mr. Nandu. CCCC is a company that carries out mega projects in Africa and around the world. It has invested in the construction of the first salt factory at Lake Assal, which will open its doors soon. This first industry in Africa that will industrialize salt for export. This factory will contribute to the creation of several jobs and the development of the country in the industrial sector.
Nous sommes la société CCCC qui a fait un investissement à Djibouti pour
The President of the Republic presided this morning at the signing ceremony of the agreement to renovate the former port of Djibouti. Several investors from different companies such as China Marching Port and China Marching Sheikhou Holding, but also from the company Great Hall Investment Holding. The discussions between the heads of state and between the head of state and Chinese investors are focused on the opportunities Djibouti offers for investors in different fields, especially in logistics and ports. Several high-ranking personalities took part in this signing ceremony, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the Minister for the Economy, but also the President of the Port Authorities. The President of the Port and Free Zone Authorities have begun signing the investment agreement to renovate the former port of Djibouti. And in the capital, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed elevated this morning to the rank of Knight of June 27 order Mr. Musa Ali bin Ali, owner of the Corto Maltese Hotel. A former gendarme born in 1966, Mr. Musa is a manager of the restaurant Corto Maltese in Tejora. Mr. Musa was decorated for his proven sense of patriotism and for his remarkable investment in the hotel and tourism sector in his native region of Tejora, which made it possible to create jobs for young people and promote culture. The President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamid, as well as numerous personalities, attended this ceremony of distinction, which was attended with joy and pride by many of his friends and family members. And at the end of the decoration ceremony, Mr. Musaudi was received by the Minister of National Education, who congratulated him and greeted him as a friend and a partner of choice of Menfab in the region. At this meeting, the Minister of Education and Vocational Training once again congratulated Mr. Musaudi for his services and that he continues to serve. Mr. Musaudi thanked the Minister for his encouragement and sympathy. The Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gedi, received this morning from his office the Egyptian ambassador accredited to the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Ahmed Adil Subhi, as part of a working visit. The Minister of Energy, assisted by the Director of Energy, Dr. Goulet Mohammed, and the Technical Advisor to the Minister, Mr. Abbas Adenateye. The discussions focused on Djibouti's and Egypt's strong bilateral relations in the strategic energy sector, but also in the mining and oil sector. The ambassador also presented to the Minister of Energy with an official invitation from his Egyptian counterpart, the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Tariq Al-Mullah, for a forthcoming working visit to Cairo and possible signing of a memorandum to strengthen and promote the country's oil and mining sector. And finally, the Minister and the Ambassador welcomed the development of cooperation between Djibouti and Egypt and wish to contribute to the strengthening of this strategic partnership. In the Campiski Hotel hosted this Thursday a cocktail party organized by the NGO SOS Village of Djibouti. This was an opportunity to present to the general public the terms of sponsorship of orphans, but also to make known the objectives of this NGO and its 63 volunteers who each contribute in their own way to restoring smiles to Djibouti's orphans. This day is part of the celebration of the 5 years of existence of this NGO in Djibouti and the 70th anniversary of the creation of International SOS Village for Children. For Djibouti, 90% of the sponsors take care of one or more children. The village sponsors follow the same procedure as their sponsorship of a child. They pay a voluntary contribution while respecting the minimum amount. The village sponsors receive a report and a photo of the different activities in Tujoro village twice a year. For Djibouti, there are approximately 543 international sponsors. Approximately 50% of the sponsors are Germany, others in Norway, Belgium, and Canada. In cooperation with the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the National Armed Forces continued its awareness campaign on the values of the Republic, citizens, and patriotism of the benefit of the students, for the benefit of the students of primary educational institutions in the region, in the presence of the head of the General Staff of the National Armed Forces. On the arrival of the head of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, and his delegation to the area, he was received by the governor of the region, the commander of the battalion of the Armed Forces, Colonel Idris Amelileh, along with regional authorities and high-ranking officers of the Army Detachment in Dekhil. The ceremony was opened by reading verses of the Holy Quran and then playing the national anthem. The aim of this event is to educate the young religious students who represent the future of the country to the importance of learning deeply about the values of the Republic and to learn more about the national culture and instill in students the love of homeland and citizenship. On the occasion, the Armed Forces stationed in the area took part in the effectiveness of the district authorities and the people, along with important figures of the National Army. It is expected that these activities will continue throughout the country's interior. In her intervention, Dr. Neiba Ahmed Farah, a doctor in the Army Forces, pointed out that the importance of this awareness campaign for children and students from educational institutions. She explained that this campaign aims to educate students on the importance of deep knowledge about the values of the Republic and learn more about the national culture, and instilling in students the love of the homeland and citizenship. In a speech for this occasion, Colonel Idris Amelileh welcomed the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, and all the attendees to participate actively in this event, which was organized for primary students in the in the area in order to provide them with information that enables them to know about the values of the Republic. Colonel Idris Umar, commander of the Armed Forces Battalion in Dekhil, also noted that it aims to educate the young religious students who represent the future of the country to the importance of being deeply acquainted with the values of the Republic and to learn more about the national culture and instill in their students patriotism and citizenship. In the same context, Dr. Ahmed Farah has asked questions about the values of the Republic, citizenship, and patriotism on all primary school students who participated in the event as a kind of a competition among students. The students responded to all the questions addressed to them in their own way and according to their general culture with respect to all the topics and issues addressed by the questions. And at the end of this question-related paragraph, to access the level of knowledge of each student, gifts were presented to the winning students of the religion as required to or in close proximity to the correct answers. After distributing the gifts to the winning students, all the participating students visited the National Army camp in the Dekhil region and the various locations where the army was located They were briefed on all the various forms and military tools used by the army. They are instructed during the awareness event and during the visit. And following the distribution of the gifts to the winning students, the artists and lyric groups presented songs and plays that reflect the importance of this occasion. And at the end of this festive occasion, a commemorative photo was taken for all participants. After a
شعبي يدورتي بالشيدة حصاريو إن قرن داديو شعبي يدورتي بالشيدة حصاريو
مدني ما إلى توجيون السنة تدريق وحاله هياني لدونيا مدني ما إلى توجيون السنة تدريق وحاله هياني لدونيا قبيلنا انتبر شرون عدالة دوفره هياني لدونيا
aqoonka durduurataan ayaani la doonayaa.
After the southern regions, the joint caravan of the Ministries of Labor and Decentralization is in Obok for an awareness and training workshop on the DSC, the Declaration of Services to the Citizens. The DSC is a document in which all the commitments of the Djibouti administrations to meet the aspirations of the population. To implement this project, SECRA invited about 10 departments to present the purpose of this project and the opportunity to explain the most appropriate ways and means to embed this program within our administration. It is in this sense that SECRA has begun a tour in the capital and the interior regions in order to train, raise awareness among staff, and at the same time set up within this administration. SECRA wishes to offer training to the benefit of these two administrations in question with a view to bringing them closer together and fully explaining their respective skills. And finally, the training will automatically contribute to the proper functioning of the administration, but will also strengthen the capacities of the staff, which will become a guarantee of the success of our administration. This was recalled by the Executive Secretary of the SECRA and Secretary General of Decentralization. And moving on to the international news, an explosion was heard on Thursday outside a courtroom in the city of Bukoda, Sri Lanka, 40 kilometers east of the capital, Colombo. Police and residents reported. No victims were reported, a police spokesman said, adding that the initial elements of the investigation indicated that it was not a controlled explosion. Sri Lanka is still in shock from the Easter Sunday attacks on churches and hotels in the country, which killed 359 people and injured around 500, according to the latest official figures. These coordinated attacks committed by 9 suicide bombers, including 1 woman, were acclaimed by the Islamic State group. Putin-Kim summit to revive historical ties. This is the first meeting between Russian and North Korean leaders in 8 years. Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin met for their first summit on Thursday in the Russian Far East with the aim of strengthening the historical ties between Moscow and Pyongyang, which are at a diplomatic impasse with Washington on nuclear issues. 2 months after the fiasco of the second meeting with Donald Trump in Hanoi, the North Korean leader is looking for support in his arm wrestling with Washington, as well as the rebalancing of his relations between Beijing, his closer support, and Moscow, his former Cold War ally. And that's all for this edition. Thank you for being with us on RTD channel.